Let's try that again. Hey guys, it's Spellshot62 here, and I'm going to be doing a Kalos tier list. Um, okay, we'll see if that works out well for me now. Um, so yeah, I was on a brief hiatus because of my final, and I'm excited to be back into doing stuff for the channel. Uh, yeah, it seems to be better. I don't hear any echoing this time. Let me just double check the audio. Okay, cool. So yeah, Pokemon Kalos tier list. Um, and let's go ahead and get started. Just a note ahead of time, I'm not going to be doing Mega Evolutions or anything like that. I'm going to be saving that for a separate video where I'm going to do Megas and Gigantamax and Hisui forms all together. Because Hisui region isn't large enough for its own video, um, and I feel like it fits kind of with the Megas and the Gigantamax. But the other regional forms, the Paldean and the uh, Alola, will be in their own standard region. So let's begin. First up, as usual, we've got the starters. I guess that wasn't the case last time though, because Unova starts with Victini for some weird reason. Uh, Regardless, oh, I forgot to. I always forget to do this. Excellent, great, uh, solid, mid, and bad. Um, yeah, before we dive into this, I just want to say, I really appreciate the feedback on all my other videos. So if you've been enjoying this content, make sure you follow me if you're watching on Twitch right now, or leave a like and subscribe on YouTube. It really helps a lot. Yeah. So starting with Chespin, we're finally gonna get into this. There's no more anything else that I'm working around. The order of this line is definitely like this. Chespin is decently cute. It looks a little bit weird to me with like how big the head is, and I know this is not going to be that consistent with my reasoning because, like, as you'll see, I like a lot of the other cute Pokemon with big heads. But I don't know, Chespin on this particular kind of body, I just don't really think it works um, as well. And overall, it's just like it's kind of cute, but with I don't know. There's just a lot of details on here which just look kind of weird out of context, like the little thin leaf things that it's got going on. It's got a whole bunch of clashing colors in the face, uh, with the black eyes, which work in a lot of cases, but I don't know, it's just really distracting. And I just this is like the first time I've ever acknowledged Chespin's like feet areas, but the like weird white on there, like that does kind of stand out, and I feel like that's something I'm gonna look at every time I see Chespin now. Um, Chestnut is fine to bad. Um, it's just got too much that does not work going on there. I don't know why it changed colors from the rest of the evolution. Um, its shiny form looks a lot better color wise, but the weird like beard thing contrasted with like the relatively, or I guess not relatively, but like the bald head, like it's just the look. I know there's like hair there, I think, or at least I think there is, but like it just looks really odd. Like the weird two spikes coming out of the back with like and the weird thing is that like the whatever that is back there, it looks really like bulky. I know the Pokemon is supposed to look bulky, but it doesn't look bulky in a way that like works, if you know what I mean. Um, and then Quilladin is just like, is it bad? Is it worse than Chestnut? Actually, is a great question. Um, I feel like it's not bad. I feel like I like it better than Chestnut just because Chestnut did all the weird stuff with trying to change like the color design and the beard that everything I already mentioned for Chestnut, it doesn't work for it. Whereas Quilladin is it's like not well designed in my opinion, but at least it's like silly. Like it's a round boy with like a goofy derpy face standing just on its tail in at least this art, which is mainly what I'm going off of. But I know some animations and stuff in the games look different for better or for worse for a lot of Pokemon. But yeah, this is pretty much just like a bigger, derpier Quilladin, which is enough to bring it down, but I wouldn't say it's a bad design. Uh, and I'd put it above Chespin probably, because Chespin's design really doesn't work for me. Fennekin. Fennekin is a pretty great starter design. The only thing that I really don't like about it is like the ear hair thing. And as you can see, that doesn't really get better throughout the evolution. Uh, but yeah, I just don't really. Uh, I don't like that aspect of it. Uh, but yeah, the rest of it is just like it's just a pretty cute, you know, fox. This is called Delphox, so I assume it's a fox. Uh, but yeah, I think it's a pretty simple design. You know, could do without the ear hair, but overall, I like the big ears. I like the cute face. Uh, Even the colors are pretty simple. So yeah, it's a pretty solid design for a first form starter. Braixen isn't really that much worse relatively, except for the fact that the stick is just growing out of its tail, which why I know I noticed that it stores it there, but like why couldn't it just be holding it like Delphox is holding it? Why does Braixen have to store it in its tail? Can it like not use its magical powers yet? I don't know. You're only really using this Pokemon when you fight mostly, so I don't know why it wouldn't just be holding the source of its psychic powers or its channel. But that being said, it is still better than these two Pokemon's designs. And Delphox is a Pokemon I really used to hate, but now think that it's a pretty decently solid design. I think it is relatively feminine for a Pokemon that's 87.5% chance of being male, but like it's not a big a problem to me as it was. Because I was I think 13 when these games came out, so like as a kid, you know, you don't want your starter to be girly or anything like that. Whereas now I feel like I wouldn't care. I even got it in the post game. Spoiler alert. I'll talk about that in a minute. Um, and I didn't even like really hate it. I think it was just like the fact that it was like girly and it was like the YouTuber thing to hate it at the time in terms of the other starters. Moving on to Froakie. Froakie I think has a really solid design. He just seems sort of like the protagonist kind of figure at the beginning here. Um, I don't know, something about it stands out as like this is a Pokemon that you'd use in like Mystery Dungeon, and like I did use it in Mystery Dungeon, but the I don't know, something about like the big eyes and like the fluff around its neck. It looks almost like it sort of like has like a little cape thing going on, and it's even got like a little salute thing that's doing here, and it's really cute with all that. And Frogadier is just a much cooler version of that. A little bit less cute, but not enough to stop me from thinking that's a really good design. Um, and then Greninja, spoiler alert, Greninja is going to be my favorite Pokemon in Kalos. And I know that that's a not at all controversial opinion. That is like the most honk shoe opinion that anyone could have about Gen 6. But I don't care. Greninja's cool, man. Like, the tongue scarf is like the only thing about it that's ever made me question whether I like it or not. But like even that I think is like it's a really cool design feature for a Pokemon. Um, I guess I also don't like that the fluff stuff or whatever is just completely gone from the Pokemon. Even if it was brought down a little bit, I would like to think that it would have been cool if it kept it the whole way through. But yeah, it just gets a lot darker skin tone overall, which really helps with the ninja look, which is what they were going for. They were going for like a knight mage uh, rogue thing. And then water shuriken's a really cool move for it to have. Um, even if it's just like a really standard multi-hit move. And then there's obviously Ash Greninja, which I mean, come on. Uh, I guess Ash Greninja's not on this list, which makes sense because it is just Greninja at the end of the day. But yeah, it's just a really cool Pokemon, and I like using it. I like using it in Smash Bros. It's one of my mains, and it's just a really cool and really solid Pokemon design. Uh, Bunnelby, is that the name of the first one? I know the second one is Diggersby. God, I hate my new phone. It's it never change. The autocorrect. I guess it's still adjusting after like several months because the autocorrect never changes what I want it to and does change what I don't want it to. Um, but yes, it is Bunnelby. I was correct. Um, Bunnelby is actually pretty freaking cute overall. The brown parts are just really just random parts of it make it feel like it's really dirty. Which I guess it is. But other than that, I think it's got a really cute face. It's got everything you want from like a cute bunny is there. And then you get to Diggersby. Yeah. So ugly face, dirt beard, dirt belt thing with like a weird like a belt buckle made of something yellow. And then the brown on the like beefed out hands on its ears that it has for ears. And it's a lot more rotund and not in like a fun way, not like a Quilladin way. It's just like it looks like a like just like a an old guy who's like working in whatever fucking industry, like it's just some guys come out of the mines with like a beer belly and like it's just not pleasant to look at really. Fletchling is pretty much it's a pretty standard first stage bird um, in terms of its design. I'd probably just like leave it right there. I like the colors, but other than that, it's just not really anything to say about it. It's just Fletchling. Fletchinder is a fair bit cooler, but I'd still probably only place it in solid. Um, it looks like a bit sharper. I like that it looks more like an adult bird, um, which I would hope that's what it looks like. I just realized it's got two arrows on its tail when Fletchling only had the one, and it's turning into like the yellow and red bird that Talonflame becomes. It looks like a pretty perfect mid-stage uh, evolution between Fletchling and Talonflame. And with that comes Talonflame itself, which lands itself also an excellent tier alongside Greninja. Um, I can't remember if I used this Pokemon at all during my first playthrough of Y. I don't believe I did. I'm trying to think of what I did use. Because I know I used Greninja. I'm pretty certain I used Charizard. I used Florges. Um, I used Yveltal when I got that. I probably used Lucario. Yeah, I don't remember anything else specific. So maybe I used Talonflame or its line up until I got Charizard. But yeah, Talonflame was just it's hard to really describe what you like about like a regional bird, I think, because they're just like standard regional birds. well, not all standard regional birds, but like they're mostly just birds with like a little bit more detail. So it's hard to say whether or not those details are like boring or bad or good. But with Talonflame, it um, first of all, Gale Wings is a really cool ability, and it's unfortunate that it got nerfed, but I guess it kind of had to moving forward. Um, it's got the cool different colors spread around its body. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, it's got like the red up front, which gives it like a sort of sharp, hot look, and then the gray and black that go down further along the body help with the contrast between the red and the yellow, which makes the yellow really pop. And just looks like a really big, like a robin or something, like some sort of or big bird that big bird of is it called a bird of prey when it hunts things? That sounds like that's not what it should be. But like yeah, it looks like one of those, like an eagle or a hawk or something, like one that hunts down its prey and swoops in for the kill. And the flame element about it is really subtle because it's just in the coloring really. There are a lot of Pokemon that are fire type and they just are like fire or they have fire on them. Um, but Talonflame makes it work well without having any of that going on physically. Uh, this line is a thing that I have completely forgotten. Let me uh, let me look up its full line here. So it's Scatterbug, Spupa, and Vivillon, which I always used to pronounce as Vivillon, I'm sure, or Vivian or something like that. And I'm sure a lot of people did. So Scatterbug is kind of a dull design. Sorry about that. um, like it's just like a pretty dull like bug with a big head, and it looks very like babyish, which it is. But yeah, like I don't really think it's all that cute. Um, yeah, just like my opinion of a lot of the first stage for early route bugs, I think it's just kind of whatever. Like it's only there to get you into Vivillon super early on. Um, Spupa is even less noteworthy than that, but I guess I'd still put it a little bit higher just because of whatever it's got going down here. Almost looks like it's wearing like a cloak or something around its body to protect it from the wind, at least in this artwork. So I guess that's cool enough, at least for me, to place it a bit higher. And then Vivillon itself, I think, is really cool, especially with how its wings change designs. I never really had one that I thought was like my favorite of the designs. Um, but yeah, I think it's pretty solid for an early route bug Pokemon. Um, I'd put it like way up there probably. But yeah, the wings always pop no matter which version you're seeing. And then like if you look closer, the eyes are like super shiny, and it's got the antenna, and it just all stands out to look like a really good butterfly Pokemon. Um, this is Litleo. I didn't think I'd have this much trouble with these Pokemon. Yeah, Litleo. Um, Litleo is pretty cute. It just looks like a cub for a lion, which is exactly what it is. Um, I'll put it up in solid. Um, it almost kind of looks like a bear too. Like it looks like a combination of a lion and a bear, kind of like it's got like rounded ears. The face kind of reminds me of a bear with like the more uh like rounded features of the face. But either way, it looks pretty cute, and it does do what it tries to do. Pyroar. So Pyroar. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I'm sorry. um, it has the pretty pronounced gender difference, which I like because that's sort of a big deal in the with lions is the how the men and the women handle things in the tribe. Is that the right word? I don't know. Um, in the family, I guess. Um, Female Pyroar is a pretty solid design, but nothing really to write home about. I think the big mane works a lot better on Pyroar. Um, I don't think it's excellent design though. We'll put it at the top of great, I think, for now. Although there's definitely gonna be more Pokemon between it and excellent. Um, I think it just works decently well for what it's trying to do. Um, the red and the yellow do a really good job of symbolizing the flame that the mane has, and it looks like it's ready with the tail up and with it facing directly towards the or basically directly towards the camera, at least from the face. Um, and yeah, the dark fur obviously contrasts with the red and yellow beard, almost making it look like a shadow behind it. I think that's a really cool design overall. Flabebe, Floette, and Florges. Flabebe is kind of weird. I never know whether to count this like flower thing as a part of it. I think it is meant to be. Uh, in that case, it's like interesting that it has a whole flower already as a baby as like a part of it, but nothing really to write home about. Um, Floette is a little better, but not by a lot. Yeah, I think it's a good spot for it. It does look really cute, and it's holding the big flower almost as if it's protecting it this time, which I think really works. Um, and Florges. Um, yeah, this one is a pretty great design. I think that works. The only thing that I don't like about Florges really is that it doesn't learn a lot of grass moves, which doesn't make sense. It is literally a plant, and even if it's a fairy that's like shaped like a plant and lives with plants, that's even more of a reason to give it grass moves. Either way, it deserves more than it already has, and it doesn't make sense that it basically doesn't get any really. It gets like magical leaf maybe. I don't remember exactly. Either way, it needs more. Oh, and I forgot that these things change colors a little bit. That does make me want to bump them all up a little bit. Um, this is probably the best version of them in my opinion, but just the fact that it has those options really helps. Skiddo and Go-Goat. Skiddo is pretty cute. I like the little beginnings of the handlebars on the head. Apparently, this is supposed to be like a bike when this is a motorbike or whatever. Um, I don't really see it. Uh, but either way, it is just like a pretty cute design overall. I'll lower it down a bit though. I don't think it's that cute compared to some of these other ones. But yeah, I like the like I said, I like the handlebars. It has a decently cute face, and the fur, the two different colors, but still the same like texture, the same like ruffle texture. I think it works for a Pokemon like this. Um, Go-Goats. Go-Goat is a pretty solid design. I'll probably use it if I go through Kalos again, but yeah, like I said, I like the improved handlebars on the head and the same sort of ruffled fur that it had going on before, but now it's in like a different sort of configuration. Like it's wrapped around its neck and it goes down all the way. So like its tail it sticks out a lot more. It just looks like a lot more of a refined design, I guess. Pancham and Pangoro. So Pancham is a Pokemon that I'm not really fond of. It's like fine, but I don't really care about it that much. I'm usually not a fan of the ones that try to be like the Pokemon itself looks like it's trying to be cool. I don't know, it just doesn't really uh, work well for me. Pangoro is a bit cooler, but it's never something I've really actively tried to use. I'll put it down there. Uh, yeah. Um, the typing is decently interesting. They cover a lot of each other's weaknesses, and got some good attacking offensive stab. Um, but yeah, I'm not usually that big of a fan of like these super big, bulky Pokemon, like the muscular ones. Uh, and there's not really anything else that I have particularly to say about the design. I just realized this like part that sticks out, which is interesting. But yeah, it just doesn't really do much for me. Furfrou is a Pokemon that I never would have looked twice at until I learned actually relatively recently about its different styles. Um, that's enough for me to get it up to like there. Um, I don't really even care that there's different like designs that you can carve into this thing's hair or gets haircuts like or whatever. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't even affect like gameplay. It just like looks different, and so I don't really have a reason to try to do anything with it because it's just a pretty normal type, I guess. It's just like it's one you get decently early, I think, and you can give it a haircut if you want, if you like it. Um, but I don't particularly care about it enough. It just looks like fine. It's got a lot of fur, and it like reaches down up here, which looks kind of weird. And like overall, it just doesn't really. I just don't care. Sorry, I'm not. I'm trying to do better at describing what I do or do not like and why about Pokemon, but it's just really hard with Furfrou, man. Esper. Um, Esper is fine. Again, another Pokemon that I just don't really care about. The wide-eyed stare doesn't really do anything for me, and I think because a lot there's gonna I'm probably gonna like say a lot of controversial stuff, like I said earlier, but like the almost all gray doesn't really do anything for me. At least not on this particular Pokemon. These weird like tufts of hair um, are just like they're just a bit weird, like on the top and the bottom. Um, Meowstick. Um, Trying to figure out which form I even like more. It's another Pokemon I had never really thought about, just like Furfrou. I like the large gender difference, but that's about it. Um, the colors are good too. I don't want to discredit the colors because the blue and white look really nice, as do the white and blue of the two different forms. Um, but they're still just like pretty standard Pokemon. That I don't really have many thoughts about. It's hard to even tell what the intricate design details are of these two Pokemon because they're such solid shades of their color. Um, like I can't even see either their mouths, and I don't know if that's by design. Like I don't know if this one's is like hidden behind this blue tuft thing, or what, but like I can't see a lot of the more intricate design details of these Pokemon. Honedge, Doublade, and Aegislash. Honedge is a sword. You know, it is indeed a sword, and I can drain the life force of people by who try to hold its handle, and that's pretty cool. It's got like the little eye in like the cross guard sheath area. It's kind of interesting. I like swords. I like the colors of like the of like this ribbon. I don't know if that's what it is, but you know what I mean. Um, and Doublade is pretty much just Hone Edge but more. I like the pink probably a little bit less than the blue. Um, but yeah, and Aegislash is really cool. I'm only gonna rate one of the forms because that makes sense. But Aegislash is awesome. I want to use one on the playthrough because I don't think I have, and even if I have, I don't remember doing it. So uh, therefore, I just want to use it again just because I forgot what it's like. The concept of it switching between its offensive and defensive form depending on the moves that you use is really cool. And Ghost Steel is a pretty cool type overall. I think it's a pretty solid defensive and offensive type, and yeah, it just looks like a really cool Pokemon that just looks like the natural progression of Doublade and Honedge. And I think it's sick. I like the purple accents. I like the little eye peeking over the top of the shield. Or like this, where it's like stanced up and it's using its arm as like a sword. I think that's really cool. Spritzy and Aromatisse. Spritzy is like fine. Um, a lot of people that were upset that it didn't turn into more of like a plague doctor kind of thing. They really should have looked at this design closer and thought and just wondered if that's where it was really gonna go. But still, I don't really like it, and Aromatisse I like even less. It would have been cool if we would have gotten like an actual plague doctor design from this, but that's not what happened. So, what are you gonna do, really? Um, I'm I'm not usually a fan of like the more like pink Pokemon, the more pink like girlier, I guess Pokemon. Um, not to use terms like girly or anything like that. That's like a negative. It's just not personally something that I'm a big fan of, really. And yeah, pink's never been a color that I've really cared for. Uh, and this has a lot of it on these two. A lot of it's like neighboring colors too, so it's not even like it's pink with like sharp bits of blue or anything like that. It's just like pink and red and purple and all accented by white and black. So like, yeah, it's really hard to just get out of that. Like at least with at least with a Vivillon, um, it has all the other forms that it can choose from. Same with Florges and Doublade. First of all, you're not in this form for long because you're either using Honedge or Aegislash most of the time, I would imagine. And and the pink is an accent color more than a primary one. Mm. Swirlix and Slurpuff. Um, Swirlix, I mean, it's kind of a cute design for iconic any Pokemon. Like if you told me there was one, that's probably about as cute as I would think it would look. Um, Slurpuff doesn't look as good though. It looks super weird, like derpy in a bad way. I don't really know why he's even derpy. Like, why does it have the tongue out? What are all these balls going on around it? Like this made sense because it was cotton candy. Like it just is cotton candy. Like it's got the stick at the bottom. It looks all like cotton candy. This does not look like cotton candy. It just looks like it looks like some sort of different type of food, but I can't even place what it is. Like the tongue out's kind of weird unless it's tasting itself, which would be really weird. And I just realized it's like dribbling down a little bit here. I don't really care for this Pokemon. Uh, yeah. Inkay is a cute squid. I like that it's got a little hat. I can't even tell what kind of hat that's meant to be, but it looks pretty cute like that. And you Malamar, that's what you're called. Um, you look pretty cool. I want to use a Malamar in some sort of playthrough. It looks pretty sick, pretty sick. Um, I definitely have not used one. I know that for a fact, but I want to now. Even though, is this Pokemon that has like a weird evolution thing? Like it has to be like the 3DS has to be upside down or something. I don't know how to get that to work unless I use like an emulator, but we'll see. We'll see. Um, Binacle and Barbaracle. Binacle is just a bad design. Like the faces look dumb and they're like glaring at each other, and I don't even. It's I know barnacles are just like things that stick onto rocks. Like even this feels like there's too little going on here. Like more of the design is rock than is the Pokemon almost. Um, and then yeah, it just sort of sticks out and gets weird. Barbarical, I think, is a design that's overhated by the Pokemon fan base, but you know, for good reason. It's still not that good of a design. Um, I'll put it higher than I think most would, but yeah, I really wish this was a lot better. I think this had the potential to be a really cool Pokemon, but you know, with the weirdly contrasting colors, which don't really work out, to the awful shiny colors which it gets. Like you're not even happy to get this thing shiny usually, because it just looks so bad and sickly. Um, yeah, like the orange contrasts. Like nothing is complimenting here on Barbarical is the thing. Nothing is pleasant like as a transition. Like it goes from brown to orange to like this white, and nothing like matches at all. It's just always sharp color contrasts that don't look nice together. Skrelp. Skrelp is fine. Um, I'll put Skrelp like there. Is it this Pokemon? Or no, it was Inkay. Like Inkay was what, water psychic, then went to dark psychic. Man, I'm forgetting every Pokemon's types from Gen 6. Okay, now this one is one that changes. I don't know if I was right with Inkay and Malamar, but this one is one that changes. This one goes from water poison with Skrelp to dragon poison. Right? Dragon poison? Yeah. With Dragalge. And Skrelp is fine. It's got like a little like it looks like it's wearing a hat like Inkay, but this one's like it looks like it's like sagging, and just this whole thing with Skrelp looks like it's sagging, and that's not a pleasant design to me. And the colors are fine, but like some of them don't look that good together, like the red and this like purplish pink thing that's got going down here, and the purplish pink thing compared to the brown. I like the sharp blue at the ends, but that's like the only color choice that I really like here. So it's just a pretty mediocre design. But Dragalge, on the other hand, is a really cool Pokemon, and I definitely want to use it. I think I'll put an excellent even. It just looks so. It looks really cool. Like where Skrelp is sagging, Dragalge is like super sharp and jagged. And I think for the Pokemon that really works. It's also got the bright red here, which is like a good accent color, but it doesn't take up that much of the Pokemon, so it works a little bit. Um, and then the purple it's hard to say because they're similar colors, but I feel like the purple works a lot better under Galgi compared to Skrelp. Maybe it's because it's a lot more equal with the brown compared to Skrelp. It's really hard to say. But yeah, Dragalge, you know they were trying to make a Pokemon with like a super weird design that's like super sharp and stuff. And so I think it works a lot better than it would on a Pokemon where they're not really trying to make a design look the way that it does to me. Clauncher. Um, I forget. It's like a bullet shrimp or something. Is that what it's called? I don't remember. But but Clauncher. Yes, Clauncher's the Pokemon. Clauncher's the first one. I thought it was the second one. I just confused myself. Clauncher's a really solid first stage design. From the get go, you already know pretty much the direction this Pokemon's going. It's got the one claw that's bigger than the other. I mean, you don't know it's going to turn into like a cannon, but you know it's going to have something of a big deal with that claw. And it's got like the pretty serious, but also like kind of not uncaring uh, look of the face, like the eye especially. Like it looks like it's ready, but it also looks like it's not giving you that much of the time of day, which I think works for the Pokemon. Um, and then the yellow and grayish accents work really well with the really bright blue that they've got going on here. And Clawitzer, I'd say Clawitzer's only a little bit better, if at all. Like it basically is just Clauncher, but the hand grows a lot, so I don't really like it that much more. But it is still a really cool design. Don't get me wrong. I like that it sort of becomes a different color, just to stand out more. I think that would have been too much of the blue. Uh, the fact that it looks like a what, a dragon head or something is super sick. Um, Heliolisk and Helioptile, or Helioptile and Heliolisk. I got that backwards. Um, I'm just gonna start with Heliolisk because that's pretty straightforward. Heliolisk is pretty sick. Um, Normal electric, I think they made it work well for having such a weird type. And I forgot that Pyro is actually normal fire too. I don't really know why, but it's hard to explain, but it kind of makes sense with the Pokemon they chose. Um, but yeah, Heliolisk is a pretty cool design. I don't. Oh, I used Pikachu. I just remember I used the Pikachu that you get that can wear the different outfits and get the different moves. I used that on my team. I remember. Um, but yeah, so I want to use Heliolisk on one of my teams to make use of one of the Gen 6 electric types. And then Helioptile, um, it's got the big droopy ears, which make it decently cute. But yeah, I'll put a little bit of Finnegan. But yeah, it's just a really cute Pokemon. The yellow and the gray work well together. It's got a cutely big head, as opposed to something like Quilladin, or not Quilladin, Chespin, where the bigger head looks a little bit awkward. This looks like about what I'd expect, and the blue eyes work really well on it. And Heliolisk, I didn't really explain what I liked about it, because the more I look at it and try to explain what I like, it feels like the less I like it. That's not quite right, but like the more I try to find details, the harder it becomes to justify it. Because like I was gonna mention this thing around its neck until I realized that it looks like a peeled banana. But I'm not liking the design any less for stuff like that. It's just hard to justify. It looks really energetic. I think is something I really like about it. Um, the the black part it looks like it's like molting, which is that what it's meant to be doing? That would make sense if it was. Um, yeah, if it was like shedding its skin, because it is a lizard, I think. um, then yeah, that would be cool and that would make sense. Uh, and the yellow and orange almost becoming more of accent colors to black. Definitely not, I would say. Not yet, but it's like pretty equal between the three. Maybe with orange at the least, but like yeah. Overall, a very fun design. Seems like a good Pokemon to just have as like a partner because it can match your energy and whatever you want to do. Um, Tyrant and Tyrantrum. Tyrant is a pretty solid design. A lot more cool than cute compared to a lot of other uh, baby Pokemon, for lack of a better term. It's not the baby Pokemon, that's like the first form Pokemon. Um, but yeah, it's just a really cool design overall. And Tyrantrum looks even better. It's like a big T Rex looking kind of thing. Definitely fearsome and definitely something that I would like to use in a playthrough at some point. Um, Amara is much more on the cute side compared to even Tyrant. And I'd say I like it a little bit more, but not overly. I just like the colors more a lot. I think it looks a lot more flashy, which I'm a big fan of. Uh, yeah, like it looks luminescent almost, and I think it really works for the Pokemon. Um, all the other fossil Pokemon always look like super dark and not like dark, but like they're dirt, like rocks, like because they're always rock type. This one stands out because it's so like shiny and flashy. It's even got like the different super bright like almost neon coloring going on up here up top. And then Aurorus is even better than than both of them really. I'd put Aurorus probably probably there honestly. I really like Aurorus. I think it's such a cool fossil Pokemon. Um, when we could have gotten some more just like relatively lame like standard rocks, this one really stands out. Sylveon is a Pokemon I've grown to like a lot more recently. Um, First of all, Eevee has grown just in general uh, a lot from where it used to be. And back when the games came out, again, I was a kid. I was like, "Ooh, this is such a girly looking thing. I don't want to use that." Um, but yeah, this really is like pretty much perfect if they were gonna make a fairy type evolution. Um, I'll put it below Dragalge. Um, still not like still not like incredible in my opinion. Like the top 3 or 4 up here. But an extremely solid design that I will definitely be using upon revisiting um, Kalos or another later region. Um, it just incredible, great design. I know I just said it's not incredible, and then I said it's incredible. That's because I use a lot of words a lot, and I use them subconsciously. I'm really bad with like diversifying my words. Like I'm sure you all might have noticed that I say perfect a lot when I'm playing a game and something goes my way. Uh, Hawlucha. It's very rare for like a single stage Pokemon to like stand out to me. But Hawlucha kind of does. Like when I think of Kalos, Hawlucha is probably one of the Pokemon I think of first. I think this was also a Pokemon that I used for a while. I think I'll put it up below Dragalge. Um, Fighting Flying has a very interesting typing, and Flying Press is such a cool move where it gets the stab from both and can hit super effective for both. And like it's just a pretty solid move, and that can get double stab and get a like double super effective because of its own typing rather than the opponent's typing. It's just really cool across the board. And obviously the Pokemon looks sick too. Like it looks like a Librador. Um, it's got the very contrasted colors, which actually work really well because that's what it's trying to do. It's got the green and the red and the white. They're all super bright colors. Even the accent colors, like the orange, stand out a lot. This Pokemon where they really make the most of all of its design attributes. and I think it looks sick for that. Dedenne is just a pretty standard Pikachu clone. I'll say that it probably does look cuter than most other Pikachu clones, so it can go decently high, but like there's no reason for me to ever really think of Dedenne personally. Carbink, I don't know why you don't evolve into Diancie, but you know you're fine, I guess, on your own. I don't really have any particular reason to think about you any more than Dedenne, really. Um, I like the I like the colors. The colors are really good here. They've got the blue, which is almost even like sort of a silvery kind of blue going on here, covering a lot of the design. I think it really fits because it like blends in well, but also it is like proper color compared to the gray and white, which covers most of the Pokemon, so it stands out. So I think the color works here quite well. And I just realized this kind of looks like a mustache on carving. I don't know if it's supposed to be like hiding, like peeking over something here, or if that's what it's supposed to be, something like that. Um, but yeah, I think the design works decently well. Just again, not one that I ever really think about. This is one of my more forgettable Pokemon, probably. I just never really think about it, except for how it should evolve into Diancie. Uh, I ended up way behind on the list I was following to keep track of names, but that's Gumi, uh, Sliggoo, and Gudra. Gumi is decently cute. Very, very simple design, but it's just like a pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I like Sliggoo a bit less. The eyes feel really odd here. Um, it's the fact that aren't the eyes all one color? At least they look like it here. Um, it's like making a weird like shell out of its own flesh. It just always unsettled me a little bit. Gurger though is a decently solid pseudo legendary. I don't particularly like it compared to the others, but it's good. It's like a slug dragon kind of thing, and the colors work really well. It looks slimy, which is what it's meant to be, um, and it doesn't look quite so fearsome, but that's also not what they're going for. So I like that they went a different direction with a pseudo legendary and made it work decently well. Klefki, even as a Pokemon that I've defended from older Pokemon fans, it still is really just a set of keys. Like I like that the keyhole looks like a mouth to the Pokemon's eyes, but really it is just a key ring with keys, so it's just fine really. Um, Maybe it'd be cool if it could have like different keys, um, like how like Spinda can have its own, can have a bunch of different designs and stuff like that, like however many millions. It'd be interesting if the keys could change, but I haven't heard that they can, so I'm gonna assume that they can't. Yeah. So Phantump and Trevenant. Phantump is really cute. I think it's definitely one of the cuter Pokemon of this generation. I'm even gonna put it in excellent. I think. How high up at excellent though? I think that's fine for Phantump, but Trevenant is gonna go even higher. Trevenant is like a really cool Pokemon. I think I'll put it there actually. Second favorite of the region, maybe. We'll see. We're almost at the end. Um, Trevenant is sick. We'll start with Phantom first, I guess. Like the souls of dead children inhabiting like tree stumps and still managing to look like this cute. Like it looks adorable. Like the frightened face almost that it's got going on. The trees starting to expand out of the stump that it's inhabiting. The arms looking like they're going like ah, like the was running away from something, like it was scared of whatever killed it. And Trevenant is just an absolute monster. The tree roots starting to look like legs. It looks like it has sort of like a second mouth because of the cracks showing up here. The big imposing arms, the one eye. I don't know what happened to its other eye, but the fact that it only has one eye here is extremely menacing. And the tree parts up top going up to increase its like height over you to make it even more imposing. It's like reaching down towards you. It's just extremely sick. Like this has everything I'd want from like a haunted like ant from Lord of the Rings or something. Um, then we've got Pumpkaboo and Gorgeist, which are pretty much the same thing. Cause aren't they both grass ghosts? It's kind of weird that they did it twice. Pumpkaboo is also really cute though. Just not as much. I'll probably put it like there. And Gorgeist is much cooler, but I'd probably put it more in line with. I'll put it like there. Um, Pumpkaboo. Uh, yeah, it's just a bit of a weirder design. It is interesting that the oh, I guess their eye is both up top and on the bottom. But yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because the colors switch. I never realized like the pink's down here, whereas the dark brown's up here. But then over here it's flip flopped. So is this like peeling over and like growing on the bottom? I don't really know how this thing works. So because of that, I am kind of curious, and I will probably raise it a little bit. But yeah, if I didn't want to use Trevenant so much for my next playthrough, I would probably use Gourgeist. But maybe I'll find a point to use Gourgeist. It's a pretty cool Pokemon as well. And if it wasn't introduced in the literal same region as one of the coolest grass types and one of the coolest ghost types to ever exist, I'd probably like it more. But as it stands, it just sort of is there and has to be compared to that. I don't like it as much because of that, but it is still a really cool design. Um, I like the jackalope that the whatever it is inhabiting. Is the whole thing just like a gorge? Is that what it's supposed to be? It's hard to tell what it's supposed to be, like a spectral gorge. Either way, it really works. The like pink part here coming out is like hands, and the fact that it covers the eyes, kind of. Um, they just a really solid design across the board. Just unfortunately not the best grass ghost type from this region. Bergamite and Avalugg. Bergamite, it's decently cute, but nothing that I really think about that much. Um, it's just, I guess, what I would expect from like a baby ice Pokemon in this region. It's weird that the eyes almost look like they're like the face almost looks like it's frozen inside of the ice rather than being part of the ice. Um, but other than that, like there's nothing really that stands out about this all. Like it even looks just like a chunk of ice. So there's not even really anything to talk about in terms of interesting design thoughts. Avalugg, the table, um, is a bit cooler, but I've never really been inclined to use it. Um, the beard, or what looks like a beard from some angles, is like it's kind of ugly. Um, and the fact that it's so smooth up top, it does make it feel unironically like a table, which takes away from the design. But it's like decently interesting in terms of a design. Like the fact that like it is almost like an iceberg in a lot of ways, which is probably what it was inspired by, which is why the bottom has so much more going on for it than the top. But even then, icebergs are like pointed at the top, so I don't know why this one's so flat. I don't know. It's just the design never really made that much sense to me, but it's still like all right. Noibat and Noivern. Noibat is another one of the cuter Pokemon from this generation. I'll put it up here in excellent. I think it really works. It's got the big ears, which look like speakers. It's got the cute eyes with like the little two parts of its skin going at the top, like teeth, like vampire teeth, and the cuter pink and like purple colors contrasted with the yellow eye and the black on the bottom. I think it works really well design wise. Noivern is a very cool Pokemon that I definitely want to try out. Dragon flying, I believe. Is it dragon flying? Yeah. Um, I want to see what this Pokemon can do because I never got to use it, and I never got to use a lot of dragons actually. I guess because I never chose to use a dragon, but like a lot of them are hard to catch. A lot of them don't evolve until later. I want to try to use Noivern. I've got a pretty decent team of Pokemon that I've never really used before. A lot of them are in like my top ones because I don't think I've used any of these Pokemon. Trevenant, Aegislash, uh, Aurora, Aurorus, Noivern, Talonflame, Dragalge. Yeah, I could make a pretty decent team right there. Is the only overlap Dragon? That's actually crazy. Or no, there's flying there too. But yeah, that's actually an insane team that I could make there if I chose these ones. I might just do that. Like straight up, if I play X and Y again, I might just make that team. If I can, I'll have to see like version exclusives and stuff. But yeah, that'd be sick. Um, all right, on to the legendaries. Xerneas is pretty cool. I don't like it as much as a lot of people do in terms of fairy types, but I think it works really well. Yeah, it's a really solid Pokemon. I'll put it like there, I think, or well, I'll put it there. No, not you just slash. Evoltal is my favorite one though. From this region, it's just really cool. Um, yeah, I'll put it like there. Uh, it has a lot more going on color wise, which is ironic because it's mostly one color. So it's like all the red and black. That's going on with this thing with like a little bit of like bluish grays and stuff like that. But this has a lot more colors going on, like especially with the horns. But really, a lot of this Pokemon is black too, like especially what's visible. Like a lot of it's just black and yellow. And there's this part mainly which taken by blue, and the colors are really only a small part of it. Compared that to Yveltal, the bright red is super striking, and its move, Oblivion Wing, like with the that summons the giant like laser that looks like it's coming from the color of Yveltal. Add to that the lore aspect, where if it dies, it will just consume all life and be reborn. It's a really cool Pokemon, personally. The representation of death, I think it was done justice, even more so than the representation of life. Zygarde, I would actually have done Zygarde forms because they're at least like completely different designs. Um, but like I guess we're just doing Zygarde overall. This one is my favorite Zygarde design. Um, do I put it up there? I think I go less than Xerneas. But I will still put it like there. The other forms would go lower. The dogs always looked a bit weird. Um, it's hard to say why. It just kind of has, you know. Um, let me pull it up on my phone, see if I can find any more reason to. Yeah, like the green just appears in like weird parts, like around one paw and around the mouth, which makes it the mouth part makes it look like it's like something's wrong with the mouth. Um, and then the one paw, just why only one paw? In fact, the other, at least from this angle, the other legs kind of look like hooves, which also doesn't really match. And the complete form, uh, I just don't like as much of the snake. I think the snake is really cool. It's got like all the scales and stuff, the scaly eyes. It's really sick, and like the whatever those are coming out of its back almost look like it has even more eyes to look at you with. Um, very very cool design going on here. The complete form would probably be like towards the top of great. It's not as good, uh, just because there's a lot less of the color going on, kind of, and I think I like more serpentine things than bipedal. Just like on average, like if every Pokemon here, like if there was a Serpentine version of Greninja, I'd probably like the Greninja more, and so on. But it really just depends on how well the art was done. But yeah, I think it really is just a difference of like Serpentinian versus bipedal for me. Um, and it's a lot more black, which I mean normally would work to its advantage, but I really like green, and I think it's balanced a lot better here on 50% Zygarde compared to complete form. Diancie, pretty solid legendary. I like the luminescence of the crystals, especially the one on its like forehead. Its eyes even look like gemstones, which really helps for this particular Pokemon because it is actually made of rock. Like a lot of them have like just have like eyes which are like super shiny. Like I mentioned that even earlier with like not with Sliggoo. But there was another Pokemon that I brought down lower because it had like shiny eyes. I think. Whereas with this one, it actually works because they could be like rubies or something. Um, and then yeah, I mean this is a bit one where the feminine thing kind of works. It does kind of look like it's wearing a dress almost, and for some reason that does work for me. It seems like even me growing out of a rock, which works way better than some with Binacle. Hoopa, Unbound, and Bound. Um, Hoopa Bound is like a really bad design, especially if you hear the voice from the anime that they went with for it. It's just not pleasant to listen to. But even Hoopa Unbound, the gimmick is cool, but I still don't really like it. It looks like quite ugly, in the face at least, and the colors. I mean, the colors work, um, but not as much as I would like to. Like those, like the bl- blue, like the dim blue gray that's got going on, kind of works less as like an accent color, which it feels like it feels like it's supposed to be the accent color compared to the pinker, like whatever that is. And like the weird top of the head, like that. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know. This is one of those Pokemon. A lot of people say that Pokemon is beginning to look like Digimon. I don't see it most of the time. Hoopa does kind of feel like a Hoopa Unbound does look like a Digimon kind of, which is weird because I don't even watch Digimon. I'm just familiar with a lot of the designs, and I feel like Hoopa Unbound just has a lot going on here that I don't really care about. Although, like I said, the arms and like the portal things, that looks sick. Don't get me wrong, I like that. The rest of it just doesn't really pull it together for me. And Volcanion. I like Volcanion a fair bit. It's kind of got an ugly face, but other than that, I think the design really works. It's got a good amount of fire or of red to show the fire type with like the yellow to accent that, but it does have the blue aspects to work with to represent the water type. I wish there was more to represent the water type, like maybe if the yellow part was blue or yellow parts were blue. Um, yeah, I'll move it down here to the top of solid. But yeah, I think the design works. Even despite the fact that fire is much more represented here than water, which I feel like it should have been equal because fire water is a pretty interesting typing and unique. Um, I think it would have been cool to explore that specific aspect of its design um, more in its overall design than what we got here. And that's it. That's all of Kalos except for the Megas, which, like I said, will come later. I have the tier list up and ready, but I'll be doing that all at the end after. So I'll have to go through Alola and Galar and Paldea first. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in. And I hope you look forward to my next one and my other videos with Hi-Fi Rush and whatnot. And I should have a bit more time for the next little bit because school is on break now. So all I really have to do is just like apply for jobs and stuff. So yeah, I really appreciate it. I will talk to y'all later.